Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Mic on? There we are. My mic on. It's on now. Hello there. Good morning to you. Sorry about disappearing on you yesterday, but that was a comedy of errors, which also resulted in, well, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But Jess is not well. Jess is very ill. We should send happy thoughts her way. While you're doing that, send happy thoughts Tom's way, because he also has a medical issue that he's dealing with. And Carlo, who's filling in, sounds like he's not long for this world either. That leaves me. My God. And my sister, Susan, in St. Louis. Hi, Suze.
Hello.
Hi. I hope you're okay there.
I'm doing okay.
That's good. That's good. A lot of people down and out around here.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is a bad flu, and it hits people, Jess's age very hard.
Yes, it's saying it's really hitting 20-somethings and 30, that age group, because I guess the last time H1N1 came around, they were too young to have gotten it or have immunity, and us old folks probably have immunity to it. Is that what's going on?
I have no idea, but it's hitting them very hard.
Well, I think that's what it is.
My guess is they are an optimistic and under-vaccinated group.
Ah, you say they're of the opinion that nothing will happen to them.
Right.
Well, I understand that. Believe it or not, I still have that feeling. I mean, I haven't...
Well,
I just heard that.
Denial.
I know. Uh-huh.
But I would, it's not too late to get your flu shot, and if you do find yourself... not sick yet and you haven't had one, hustle yourself over to your closest drugstore.
Right. Yeah. Oh, no. Always every winter I get an email like this. Susan, listen. About 10 years ago, my husband and I heard you advertise the snow path shovel-type thing that you said was available at a store in Squirrel Hill. The first winter you talked about it, we never got one. But then, as soon as you mentioned it the next winter, we rushed to that store and we bought one. Just to remind you, the snow path you don't have to remind me, is a curved horseshoe-shaped red plastic thingamajiggy that you can use to push the snow off the ground. You even made a video of how to use it correctly. Well, it's been the best thing for me, and I'm worried that after 10 years or so it might break. Then I would be lost because I can't manage my driveway with a normal shovel. So I want to get a new one. I tried searching the internet. I was unable to locate it, or a company that makes it. Yep, this is the same sad tale we hear. What do you make of that, Susan?
But mine's called a snow ease.
Yeah, that's what mine is. Snow ease. It was snow path for just a year or two.
Well, maybe they should try searching under snow ease.
Well, that's true, but they won't find it there either.
They're gone?
Yeah, as far as I know, they're gone. This is the sad tale of a great product that never
got traction, as it were. I got to tell you, mine's been hanging in my garage since, I got it, and I got mine via Pittsburgh. But this year, I'm using it like crazy.
Yeah.
And it really is wonderful.
Okay, I agree. We've got a call. Hello, do we? Okay, not Susan. If you get knocked off, I'll talk to you in a moment. Hello.
Hey, Lynn. It's Mike from D.C.
Hi, Mike.
Recently, my mother died, and my aunt said, "What in the house do you want?" And I said, "The snowies." She said, "Are you kidding? You don't want a picture or a knickknack?" I said, "The snowies." I went to the house immediately after the funeral to look for the snowies, and I couldn't find it.
Oh, no!
I know. So it's there somewhere, I'm sure. But I got dibs on that, my mother's snowies.
Well, I have to tell you, it's hard to miss, isn't it? It's a big... Oh.
Right, it's an awkward thing, but I didn't really look that hard. So hopefully someone will
Well,
find
I
it.
hope you can find. I'm sorry about your mom. I hope you can
Oh,
find
thanks.
it. Did you get it for her?
No, when you were on the radio,
Yeah.
she heard you and she got one in that 2-year period where you could buy one.
Yeah.
And it was on the front porch forever.
Oh, for heaven's
So
sake.
I know she didn't throw it away because she knew how difficult it was to get.
Yeah.
But I thought of you, and my aunt said, "What do you want?" And I said, "The snowies." And she looked at me like,
You were nuts.
"You're kidding me.
Yeah, right.
You want a shovel?"
No. Well, it could well end up being quite a antique at some point, right? Because there's
Well, only if people know what it is, because it's just this weird-looking, horseshoe thing with a stick on it. So unless you know what it is,
Yeah. Well, I hope you can lay your hands on it, Mike. I really do.
it's mine if we find it.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks, man.
Bye. That's
Bye.
great. Anyway, this woman still has hers, but she's just already in a tizzy because she's.
About what's going to happen. I know.
I think
I already know what her pantry looks like.
I don't know what it's sort of I think it's indestructible. Although somebody told me that they. I don't know. It was called the snow path for a year or two when Sears actually got interested. That was the first big. They got interested in it. And they didn't I don't know, there was something about the name Snowies. Nah, they wanted Snow Path. And that's when I did the video. They figured they wouldn't sell unless it came with a, look, here's how you use this thing video. So I did a video, and the video came with the product. But then they didn't really, they didn't push it. And it just sat there like this odd thing, I think. It was not.
No, you have to use it
Successful.
to appreciate it.
Yeah.
And really, because, I'm at the age where I don't particularly want to take a shovel full of snow and throw it.
Yeah, better to push.
And to just push the stuff out of the way, and especially, in my case, to do a better job of getting, to get the slush out of the way as it melts.
Yeah.
It really works.
You know what else it works for? Oh, my gosh. I have these dang sweet gum trees. They're the ones who drop.
That's wonderful for that sort of stuff.
They drop those little, picky orb things 12 months out of the year. They put, they litter the street in front of me. I'm sure my neighbors want to kill me. They litter my lawn. You take that Snowies and you just zip up and down the street and the driveway, you're gone. It's so wonderful. And I actually looked into, as you know, possibly manufacturing it. I think it's I don't have...
Somebody needs to go on Shark Tank.
What? I don't even know what Shark Tank is.
Oh, it's this show that
Where
has
you get...
3 entrepreneurial, success stories and would-be entrepreneurs, inventors, try pitching their invention to these 3 people to see if they can get them to invest. I know of this because a local girl whose parents I know just got on and didn't
make it.
Get a bite, as it were.
Well, but it's not mine to... I didn't invent it.
No, you don't hold the patent.
No. And those numbskulls that do in Indiana just don't know. I mean, people... The Wall Street Journal took an interest in it. The Wall Street Journal even did a story about it. About the absurdity of this shovel thing taking off because of a misunderstanding on the part of a radio talk show host in Pittsburgh. That would be me. And how they then had a run on their telephones for people demanding their product. And they called the radio station I worked for to complain that I had sent thousands of people to their phones wanting their product. And they were complaining.
Well, that was the problem with their business plan.
They got mad if you tried to buy the product. And they were complaining because they weren't a retail-y outfit. They didn't have a clue how to deal with this demand. And what they ended up doing is why they got in the Wall Street Journal. They ended up saying, okay, all right, already. Just send us a check. Send us a check, and we'll send you the Snowies. Or I think they even sent these things out before they got checks. Anyway, it was where they sort of just trusted that people would pay them for the product, and everybody did. Anyway, the Wall Street Journal did a story about how amazing all of that was. But then it never went anywhere. I could have been rich. Because for a while there, you remember for a while there, I was getting a cut of every shovel that sold?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it was 10 cents, but geez, that started to add up. Yeah. Oh, well.
Well, I'm just saying, mine sat in my garage for at least 10 years unused, and now I use it like crazy.
Good.
So I probably have one of the best, maintained Snowies because it's just started to be used.
Well, I've been using mine forever because I had the first one, and it's still fine. There's no problem with it. And I do think I also do. I have two. I think the other one is the Snow Path. And I didn't think it was as good. I think Sears, I didn't like what they did with it. PJ on the flu. As with the swine flu outbreak that killed so many during and after World War I, this flu strikes the young and fit the hardest. It's not due to a lack of immunity. It's just the opposite. It's due to an immune system that is very healthy and strong, so strong, in fact, that when it reacts to the virus, it can kill. What?
It gets the immune system starts attacking you?
Well, I guess that's what he's saying, but I don't know. He says it's counterintuitive. I don't get that. I don't understand that. They don't understand that.
Well, it would suggest that it's turning itself into an autoimmune disease, but that doesn't make sense either.
No. Oh, and the other day, Friday, Chris Potter and I were talking, and somehow the issue of Potter, we were talking about a very, very, one of the richest men in Pittsburgh, Susan, who owns one of the newspapers in Pittsburgh. His name is Richard Mellon-Scathe. Yes, those melons. Richard Mellon-Scathe. And he's, his paper's real right-wing. And he had a nasty divorce about 6, 7, 8 years ago. And his wife had the wondrous name of Richie. And the Scaife divorce was so wondrous that I know Chris Potter and his paper, I guess, petitioned the court to have access to some of they had closed off everything in the case, and you couldn't get your hands on any filings or anything that normally, I guess, would have been public record. Anyway, we're talking about all of that, and we ended up with Potter remembering one very funny thing, but he thought it was apocryphal. He said, remember when she took his dog and he put a sign out on the front lawn of his mansion that said, wife and dog missing, reward for return of dog. And I thought, we said, oh, that has to be, bleh. That can't.
And it was true.
It's
Somebody
true.
sent you a picture.
Well, they didn't send a picture, but another journalistically minded gent, David D'Angelo, who blogs at Two Political Junkies, found two pretty reliable sources, Forbes and Vanity Fair. And we have a caller? Okay, we'll get the caller and I'll read you one of these. It's too funny. Hello?
Hey, it's PJ.
Yeah.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, so hey, before I go on to the flu topic, which is what I called about, do you realize you're mentioned in conjunction with the Snowies in a book?
Yes.
Called The Secrets of Word of Mouth Marketing?
Yes, I know I'm in that book too.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
kind
God.
of neat.
And it was
So anyway,
well, that
the
was written,
flu,
PJ.
killing the young and healthy. It's an overreaction of the immune system. It's called a cytokine storm. And it's basically their immune system acts so virulently or so strongly to the virus that it ends up killing them because of this cytokine storm. Overreaction of the body's immune system. And it is in fact what killed so many people. Why so many young people died during the 1918 outbreak.
God. Well,
and those that didn't, a lot of them got Parkinson's, like our grandfather.
Later.
And it was attributed to that.
Later. They're not sure.
Really?
Yeah, they think that there was he later, obviously, he was a young man, and then much later in his life, he did develop Parkinson's, but somewhere we did see that there was speculation that there was a connection between that.
That's basically what killed my father. I mean, he died of, falling down, but it was because of the Parkinson's eventually. I wonder if
did he have flu in 1918?
Well, but I like to hope that it was some external source and not genetic for my own.
Well, you just assume that, okay?
But look, they actually researched on frozen bodies that were dug up from people that died from the flu in 1918, and that's how they figured out that it was actually overreaction of the immune system.
Okay.
So it is very counterintuitive, but that's what does it.
All right.
With a cytokine storm. So if you get a chance, look it up.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thea, bye. Thea, I think I said. Whoa! Okay, so here's what Forbes.com said. Oh, they call Richie Margaret. That must be her real name. One of the nastiest fights underway. They did a story about Berlusconi's divorce and this Wynn guy out in Las Vegas divorce, and then they had this in the story. One of the nastiest fights underway, this is billionaires divorcing, underway now involves Thomas Mellon and Sons banking heir Richard Scaife and his second wife Margaret, who apparently hired a private investigator and allegedly caught her husband cheating with an ex-prostitute. After Margaret took Scaife's favorite dog, Beauregard, Scaife placed a sign on his front lawn reading, "Wife and dog missing. Reward for dog." Margaret then reportedly broke into his home to steal some valuables, including a $1,000 set of asparagus tongs.
Well, certain things a girl just needs.
I have found fingers and even a fork work okay. $1,000 thing to pick up a asparagus spear? Okay.
Yeah, I remember probably about 15 years ago now, maybe even 20. We were invited to one of our relatives' weddings, and I was looking at the list of registry items, vainly hoping for a gift that I could afford. And this person had actually registered for a caviar server.
A caviar server? What would that be? A bowl and a spoon?
Well, or a bowl nestled in a bowl in which ice can be.
And you could put little lemon wedges around for garnish.
Right, whatever. I was just thinking, boy, I hope life lives up to this person's expectations.
Jeez. All right, and here from David D'Angelo is what Vanity Fair said about the Scaifes' unfortunate struggle to end their marriage. After Dick had Richie arrested and thrown in jail. Oh, my God, I forgot that, right. Richie and the Scaifes' 3 dogs.
He wanted the asparagus dogs.
Right, including Dick's favorite dog, a yellow lab named Beauregard, moved in with somebody, Petra Gallo, and his wife Helena, who is one of her oldest friends. Then in March, Dick arranged for a sign to be made and placed on his front lawn, wife and dog missing, reward for dog. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that was not an apocryphal tale. That was the real deal. Oh, the lifestyles of the rich and famous can be such wonderful entertainment for the rest of us. Don't you think?
I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, $1,000 asparagus tongs. And here's another thing I found in my wanderings around through printed material. Suze, I thought you would enjoy. You know how when you're walking a dog and the dog's about to poop, right?
Right, and they look abashed.
Well, no, not getting into that. They just look abashed when they've assumed the position and you look at them. They want, they just want a little privacy.
Right,
so, no,
but they always point north or something.
They circle. They do this circle thing where I remember once with Lucy, I thought I was going to scream. She was like getting herself ready, then no, a little bit, and then she went around again, and then no, and then around again, no, and I thought, oh, for God's sake. But here's the answer, and you were right, Susan. Why do dogs tend to circle around before getting down to business? Because they like to be aligned with the Earth's magnetic field before they poop.
Well, it's so much more zen-like that way.
Well, I don't know, but you have to figure, why would that be? Researchers finally figured out this great mystery after watching 70 dogs engage in 1,893 defecations and 5,582 urinations over a 2-year period, and recording the time, place, and body orientation for each defecation and urination. And when they crunched the numbers, they found that the dog's preference for a north-south axis was most pronounced during... This gets so complicated, it's ridiculous. Dogs like to be pointed north-south during the 20% of the day when the magnetic field is calm and steady. When the field is in flux due to solar flare, solar wind, and sunspot activity, dogs had real trouble finding a suitable place to go. So that must have been a solar flare day that poor Lucy could not figure out how to get situated.
Which way was up, so to speak?
I know. And so they said they found that dogs are just magnetosensitive, and they are predictably disturbed by even small changes in the magnetic field. So there you have it. You'll never look at a dog pooping the same way again.
So you know how come I knew that?
How come, Suze?
Because it was on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, that great source of news.
Oh, yeah. I bet it was. And I bet they pulled it out of something where I got it, too. It's just too good a piece of information to let go.
So can I tell you my favorite current local story here of media behaving badly?
Yes, but could you do it after the break?
Yes.
Good. Well, we've just done a little promo. Media behaving badly, always a fun topic. After this.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Download the brand new CP Haps app and find out what's going on in Pittsburgh. It's the fun and free app that puts the most popular events at your fingertips. Text events to 77948 to download now and register to win a Seven Springs overnight getaway. The CP Haps app, brought to you by Pittsburgh City Paper.
Oh! You are round MVP.
Yeah, man. Yo, Drew, I finally got round MVP. Round MVP.
No way. That was some ownage.
Finally earning round MVP takes determination. So will getting into college. I've got what it takes. So do you.
Visit knowhowtogo.org to learn what you should be doing right now to prepare for college. Start taking the steps at knowhowtogo.org. Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation, and the Ad Council.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
All righty, here we are, back with my sister Suze in St. Louis, and what? Media behaving, so this would be local media behaving badly.
I was with my husband in New York, and I was online perusing my local newspaper, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Right.
Or what remains of it.
Right.
And the following is one of the lead stories. Local television station causes high school lockdown. So our NBC affiliate here decided in its quest to protect the public to send a sinister-looking guy into several schools to see whether security would pick him up.
You're kidding.
Well, at one of our local high schools, he walked in the door, walked into the office, gave his name, left his cell phone number as asked, and he asked which way was the bathroom. He was pointed, and the school secretary saw him go out the door and go in the opposite direction. She called him back immediately. He ignored her. She called his phone, in which he was identified as a reporter for KSDK. They called KSDK and asked, is this guy here on your business? They said, we can't confirm or deny that. They said, you do understand that if you don't confirm it, we have to put this high school on lockdown. And they refused to do it, so out comes the SWAT team. Kids that don't know what's going on, teachers that don't know what's going on, are, doing the protocol, huddled against walls, away from windows, for a solid hour, listening to footsteps on the roof, because this reporter decided to test the security at Kirkwood High School.
Wow. Well, I wonder what's going to happen to them. Nothing.
Well, they first on the news that night they put out this sanctimonious statement about how they are always trying to protect the public and are vigilant, and which is partly what made me so angry that I wrote them an email immediately pointing out that the only ones that had put anybody in danger were them, or were they? Anyway, so. They apologized again last night, but the storm is, these are the same people that, do 24/7, the weather is going to kill you report.
Yeah, right. Well, that's par for the course. That's what they do.
But they're worse than anyone else, and it's just, I think this has just finally exposed them as, scaring the most people the most time as their ratings tactic. But, causing the police, the SWAT teams to come out and scaring children and families. Parents are crying. Awful.
Jesus.
Yeah, I think the station manager, the news director, should be fired myself. But, that's me.
Yeah, that's you. Well, Jesus. Unbelievable.
Part of what bothers me is that it really is so sanctimonious. They say, the man just walked into the office, as if the locked door means anything, because, Sandy Hook had a locked door, and Adam Lanza shot right through it.
Yeah, well,
media is supposed to report, not make the news.
Yeah, well, local television news is increasingly just sort of it's an oxymoron. It's not news. It is whatever it is. It's nothing that one should consume with any regularity. It's really awful. Hey,
but, if there is no place to go anymore for reliable information, absolutely no place.
Yeah. Well,
then how are we an informed public? At what point do we wake up and recognize that there really do have to be some ethical standards upon which an intelligent public can rely?
Well, when money is at the base of it all, I don't know, because that's what's polluted the waters. I don't know, Suze. Oh, that hurts my head. It's too much.
Okay, sorry. I just thought I'd bring it up because I was absolutely, what does Harry say? I was gobsmacked.
Yeah, gobsmacked. Well, I'm not, gobsmacked by that story. That's my contempt for what has happened to local television news and even national television news. Television news in general is just it can't get much worse. I wanted to, in case you missed this big story yesterday, this is mind-blowing. The Department of Health and Human Services has released a report about Medicare and very few people noted it. This was put out a few months ago, but there was a little item in there that someone obviously has just noticed because I'm looking at it, and it said that the number of old farts, people on Medicare, who are getting tests, screening tests for sexually transmitted diseases, has just skyrocketed. Over 2 million Medicare recipients receive free sexually transmitted disease screening and counseling sessions. More than 66,000 over the age of 65 receive free HIV tests. This is just last year, 2012. And it says here that between 2007 and 2011, chlamydia infections among Americans 65 and older increased by 31%, and cases of syphilis by 52%. Thousand?
Yeah, I'm.
What do you make of that, huh? I'm telling you, they
my
got this.
My immediate reaction was to say, yeah, but if there were only 4 to begin with, and now there's 6, then it's increased by 50%.
No. We're talking millions.
Okay.
Here's what they think.
Well, then my second reaction is it's that little pill.
Viagra has a lot to do with it. They think Viagra has a lot to do with it, and the fact that this is a group, a demographic group, that never heard, when they were really sexually active, the term safe sex. Right? This is a group.
I guess.
Oh, come on. This is a group that didn't regularly use condoms. This is a group that didn't think about sexually transmitted diseases. Anyway, now they got Viagra, and they're screwing around. They're screwing around. They say they're screwing around in retirement communities and assisted living facilities, which are becoming more like college campuses.
Well, I have to say that I recently, on some long car journey, was listening to some station or another, and they were discussing just this. It was a nursing home operator discussing how they handle
how to keep the guys out of the...
They don't necessarily want to keep people apart because it actually is a quality of life thing. So it's more like making sure that these are actually 2 consenting adults.
Well, they're having to rethink about, they're going to have to do some sex education for in nursing homes.
Yes.
Because it says, even though they're having a lot of sex, seniors don't seem to have gotten the safe sex memo. Or when it came through, they ignored it because they did not think it applied to them, because they were thinking condoms and all that stuff is about pregnancy, preventing pregnancy. They hadn't thought twice about syphilis, chlamydia, all these disgusting things that just weren't part of
where is it coming from? I mean, how is it getting introduced into the nursing home?
Well, all it takes is one. I mean, it just takes... There must be a lot of promiscuity going on here. I'm going to look at these assisted living facilities in an all
right, you're going to check them out.
Yeah, because I'm not getting anything living in my home. So maybe it's... my son's always threatening to put me in a home.
Maybe it's just a flat-out lack of access to condoms. And nursing homes do have to rethink this. They need to make them, if this is what's going on, then they need to, put into their health care protocols that sort of preventative medicine.
Yeah, the doctor who wrote this report said, obviously we need a big public health campaign on safe sex aimed at older people. Maybe the AARP could push its constituents to be sexually responsible. Or maybe Social Security could include some information on sexually transmitted diseases.
Or Medicare.
When they send out their next check. And come to think of it, he said, why doesn't Trojan make free condoms available to every Social Security recipient and, find a new market? But, yeah, there you have it. Just wanted to tell you, those frisky old farts are, they're having a good time. Viagra. All right. We have a call. Hi, caller.
How you doing?
I'm fine.
I just want to tell you, my neighbor, he's 75 or 76. He tells me he goes to these casinos, and he said they look at him, these people that are in their 80s, 90s, like, what the hell are you doing here? He said, I'm the young kid here, he said. He can't believe how they act. He said, what the hell are you doing there? Well, my daughter and son-in-law went to the casino one time. They did, what the hell? It's like, that's their place. Why are you invading our place? He said, it's comical as hell.
And they're having a good time.
And now you tell me this, I see where it all joins in, you know?
Having a better time than you even thought. Isn't that great?
Right.
Well, it's something to look forward to then.
There you go.
There you go.
Thanks. We'll see you.
Okay, bye-bye. Ray suggests that Richie Scaife could have put up a sign in her front lawn in retort and should have worded it thusly: husband and dog missing, both one and the same. Oh, well. Now, Bob writes, I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on the Seattle Seahawks, Richard Sherman's. Did you see this, Susan?
I read about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I did see it. I looked it up.
Infamous post-game interview on Fox News last night, verbally attacking Michael Crabtree of the 49ers after the last play of the NFC Championship game last night in Seattle. Part of what Sherman said to Andrews, when you try me with a sorry receiver like Michael Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get. Don't you ever talk about me. I don't even understand what he was saying, if you want to know the truth. When I saw it, I thought it was the funniest thing I'd seen in a long time. Because I think what I was seeing was a guy who was so adrenaline.
He had so much adrenaline. He wasn't done yet. That was the rest of it blowing off.
He was way up there. He was flying high, and his brain was missing in action. He was just one mass of hormones.
That's what goes through his head when he's aiming for someone.
Right, and that's how, that. So
you just heard a stream of consciousness, and honestly, I didn't see what the big deal was.
I don't really see what it is either. But so listen to this that I saw in USA Today this morning. So he looked like an idiot, right? He just looked like this big thuggish fool.
Right.
But listen to this. He graduated from high school in Compton, California with straight A's.
Yeah, he
In
went
fact,
to Stanford.
Better than straight A's, actually, thanks to all the advanced placement classes he insisted on taking. His father's a garbage man. His mother teaches disabled children. He chose Stanford because of its academic reputation. So he's smart. And he's normally a regular human being, but it doesn't even make sense. But
it does make sense.
Well, I'm saying
he was still in warrior mode.
He was total warrior mode.
And if you don't think those guys are warriors and they're out there, fighting a war, then you aren't in the head of a football player.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I think, too. And I, for one, am not going to cast any more opprobrium his way.
Tomorrow he'll say he's a fine guy, but if I don't think that he's a wuss and nowhere near as good as me when we're on the football field, then I'm half lost.
So
I just really didn't see the big deal. I didn't. I mean, everybody's so polite and handled these days that no one says what they think. That's what everybody prefers. That's nonsense.
Okay, so you and I are on the same page. Let's not. So,
the rest is how you say truthiness.
The rest is truthiness? Let me, I don't know if we want to go here. Chris Christie, somebody named Jeff Smith has written this, and I thought it's...
Oh, well, he's a St. Louis boy.
Okay. And he's a reporter?
No. He was thrown out of... He was thrown out of the state legislature.
That's right.
For lying about using a gift card at a casino from a constituent.
Right. Here, Jeff Smith.
And he's really a top-notch guy.
Yeah, I know he is. Jeff Smith, it says here, is assistant professor of politics and advocacy at the New School's Urban Policy Graduate Program. He is the author of Trading Places and a forthcoming book on prison reform, Mr. Smith Goes to Prison. He served in the Missouri Senate from 2006 to 2009 and spent 2010 in federal prison on charges stemming from a campaign finance violation charge. So he's writing as someone who the feds were looking at and who ended up in jail. And he says this to Christie. Nothing is ever quite the same after you wake up to the feds pounding on your door. Trust me, I learned the hard way. Which is why most of the media response to the scandal with New Jersey Governor Christie feels off to me. And then he goes on to say that everybody's talking about, will he still be the front runner for the Republican? Can he get through this? Blah, 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 blah. And he said... That is not the problem. What the pundits forget, and as Christie, a former U.S. attorney, knows as well as anyone, is the old saw that federal prosecutors can get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich. They don't need a bulletproof case, and once they have a target, they are not limited to investigating the matter that caught their attention in the first place. Public corruption probes often widen as new information emerges. I ask our listeners to just, note what has happened since the feds here started poking around in City Hall. This thing is ongoing. Federal prosecutors rarely have just one attack route. So, as a former target of a federal investigation that started in one place and ended in a very different one, I am all too familiar with the unpredictable directions in which these things can go. What piques a prosecutor's interest during plea negotiations may be totally unrelated to the original crime. So, Jeff Smith is saying, I'd be very surprised if Christie survives this.
Well, what he's saying really is, and Christie shouldn't be worried about whether he can still run for president. Christie should be worried about how he's going to get along in prison. Because that's what happened to Jeff Smith. And the loss of his political career was the least of it. Finding himself in prison was the issue.
Okay, and then take the guy, the Wildstein, who, he's thrown a few people under the bus. So, as Smith goes on to say, that once the feds have you in their sights, nearly everything else fades away. The pressure to cooperate, to wear a wire, or to inform on people who would make bigger scalps than yours is intense. Since nearly 95% of federal defendants end up pleading guilty or being convicted, they know the odds, that the feds know the odds are in their favor. And because their resources are unlimited, they don't mind going to trial regardless of the cost. And you, Governor Christie, as a target, focus on just one thing, trying to stay out of prison. If Anyway, he says, for a U.S. attorney, there is no bigger scalp than the nation's most powerful governor, and one who preceded you in your job. So that the governor in question once used his own prosecutorial powers in the eyes of many New Jersey Democrats to launch a sting that would boost his, well, I'll just go on. He's saying there's lots of reasons why the U.S. attorney and the attorney general of New Jersey are going to want to get
But
it.
can I just, from a slightly less cynical point, say that I would hope that the U.S. attorney, upon hearing about this, had, picked up his ears and thought, this sounds like governmental corruption of the greatest order. This is something to investigate. Not because it's Chris Christie and, boy, he's a big governor in our sights, but because it's what his job is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jeff Smith's, reaction to this is slightly overdetermined, if that's how the accent is. And he really did get a raw deal because the whole thing, I mean, what undid him was that he lied about this really minor little thing that he did.
Well, but that's it. So
it's always the cover-up.
It's always the cover-up. But this guy thinks, he says, unless Christie aides have been able to divine his political vision so expertly that he's been able to remain magically aloof from any illicit power moves his administration has pulled. Unless...
Let me just ask you a question, Lynn. If you were governor of New Jersey and all of a sudden there was a 4-day traffic jam at the George Washington Bridge.
You wouldn't be curious?
You wouldn't notice. You wouldn't be curious. You wouldn't be saying to your troops, what the hell is going on down there? Fix that.
Exactly.
So...
Right. I mean, we all know.
I just think, as I like to say, res ipsa loquitur.
As you
the
like to say, what?
For itself.
As you like to say, what was that? Res ipsa loquitur? What?
Res ipsa loquitur. It was one of my favorite things that I learned in law school.
And what does it mean?
It is a Latin phrase. It is the legal concept, and it means the thing speaks for itself.
Oh, yeah, I agree with the Christie thing. And a new poll, by the way, out today shows that most Americans think he's lying. That was not clear right after his press conference. He bamboozled some. But the steady drip, drip, drip of other accusations and stuff, almost 60% of Americans think he's lying. So
well, it's because
already toast.
If he didn't know, then it was because he deliberately didn't want to know.
Exactly right. Right.
So it doesn't work either way.
Back to the Snowies. Back in the mid-'90s, Joseph writes, I followed your advice and bought a new Snowies for myself and one for my sister, who lives outside of Altoona. We still both use them to our great satisfaction, and lately I've noticed the hinges that hold the plastic are rusting. Uh-oh. And I'm waiting for them to break off someday while using this amazing product. It's a shame I can't find one for sale anymore. You can't. You just can't.
Well, here's what I suggest. Some enterprising person who is listening to us, contact the original people and see if you can license the patent.
I forget what the name of that stupid group was. It was some little town in Indiana, state of Indiana.
Well, somebody holds the patent, and so you can research that and attempt to license it and sell the thing, and somebody market it this time. Because, it's good in certain places. It's good for some place like St. Louis where you don't have a lot of big, heavy snow.
It's not good. Yeah, it's not good for a 8-inch heavy snowfall. That's not good. It's good for the piddling 2- and 3-inch snowfalls. Can clear those in them like that, and that's most of them.
Right. And for clearing the slush afterwards. Right.
And for leaves in the fall, I've used it to get the leaves and the seeds and the,
We're going to create such a demand.
Yeah, but there's no product. Anyway, yeah, if there's some entrepreneur. We did, Michael Ferraro, who owned a Pleasant Present, who was the one that carried that was the store, it doesn't exist anymore either, that carried the Snowies, he did look into. I told him, I'll go in with you, but he made the effort to look into how you would manufacture this. And in fact, we couldn't figure out he said it's prohibitively expensive. The plastic required, that thick plastic that makes up, it costs a lot of money. And then if you try to get the price down to where people would be willing to pay for it, then you have to go overseas labor. I'm not kidding. There was I don't think couldn't figure out a way that it would work. I don't know. That's why I'm not a business person. There are too many variables, and it gives me a headache. Because it's really a very simple tool. There are two parts to it, right? There's a handle and the horseshoe thing. And some bolts that connect the two. That's how simple it is. Huh. I don't know. Gotta take a break. We'll be back.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Happy New Year from the all-new BergBargains.com. Log on today for the best deals from your favorite local restaurants, bars, museums, and shows. Sign up for the weekly email update for your chance to win a $100 gift card from the Swigley Spa. The all-new BergBargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains. BergBargains.com.
While cutting molding with a 12-inch dual compound miter saw, while holding a newborn baby in your arms, when face-to-face with a congregation of alligators, with the ball in your hands and the entire freaking season on the line.
There are a million places you'd never consider texting, so why would you do it while driving? NASCAR driver Casey Kane here, asking you to please stop the text, and together we can stop the wrecks.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Get the message at stoptextstopwrecks.org.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn@pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
All right, back with my sister Susan, and a very odd story I came upon in the Wall Street Journal today. And it's about what they call verbal tics and what use of certain phrases may really be saying. And they're focusing on phrases that are called, I guess, by people studying this stuff, tee-ups. In other words...
like the word like.
Okay, like the word like, but they're going specifically for ones that... they're also called performatives or qualifiers, such as, it's more than one word, such as, don't take this the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I'm just saying, or...
ironically.
For your convenience, or I just want you to know, or to tell you the truth, or... blah, 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 blah. Or I want to say. Something is seemingly doesn't... they say all of these things, they seem harmless at first, and in fact, they might seem even very polite way of talking. But when you say something like that before another statement, when you use that as a preface, you're clearly often signaling that you're about to say something not nice, or something unwelcome, or
it's like when the pilot says, well, folks.
Is when the what says what?
When the pilot says, well, folks.
It seems we're, yeah.
Nothing good ever comes after well, folks.
And then the psychology professor says, excuse me, oh, God.
Okay, take your time, clear that stuff out. I'll hammer. Are you ready?
There. Politeness is another word for deception. What? Well, it can be. So here is one, and this woman said she was a yoga instructor, and she said she was in the downward-facing dog pose when a friend coming up behind her said,
"Don't take this the wrong way, bud."
Yes. Well, she said, "I'm only telling you this because I love you."
Oh, no.
And then the friend went on to point out that there were, some sort of lumps showing beneath the yoga clothes and said that some people are laughing at you behind your back because they don't think you're fit enough to teach yoga. And then she went on to say that maybe I can put you in touch with someone who knows liposuction and blah, 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 blah.
Okay, well, did she come up and just give a quick left jab?
I would. Do you believe
Can I say that very few people look attractive in the downward dog? I mean, you're basically just presenting your, excuse the expression, ass to the world.
I know. It'd be difficult to look good. So people do this hedge thing, whether in writing or in speech, largely unconsciously. We're emotionally distancing ourselves from our statement without even knowing it when you say things like, I just, want you to know, or I'm to be perfectly honest. So the idea is if you can, stop using those things. They never end well. To be perfectly honest actually sounds as though you're not normally.
Right.
You have to preface something.
You're usually imperfectly honest.
Right. So, yeah.
And the only time I ever say to be perfectly honest, I know what's coming next. I know that what's coming out next is not going to be nice.
Yeah.
I'm fully aware of that. If I say to be perfectly honest, what's going to follow next is I don't really want to go there.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Right.
I am not in the least interested in whatever it is you are proposing. And when I say to be perfectly honest, it means there's no talking me out of this. I ain't going.
Yeah. So,
So it's not always unconscious is what I'm saying.
No, I don't think it is. But anyway.
Most frequently not. So the moral of that story is when you hear those phrases coming out of your mouth, just make sure you actually want to say it.
Yeah, because chances are
what's going to come out isn't going to be very nice. Just make sure that that's really the message that you intend to give. If it is, go for it.
Right. I mean,
because I actually would prefer that people would be more perfectly honest.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey, a guy named Tom has sent me a reminder that it was 3 years ago this week that Doug Hirth passed away at the age of 66. And he sent me a picture of Doug in the WTAE radio studio looking positively young and almost handsome. I never think of Doug as handsome. Looking and happy, and so happy. And, boy, he's much missed. People, are forever bringing him up. Oh, I wish Doug were here. And you know what's so sad is that he could have kept on going if he'd gone and done like what I'm doing right now. If he'd said to radio, screw you, and gone over to the internet. And I know that people were trying to get him to do that, but he was too stubborn, and he only knew radio, and he didn't get the internet. He had just gotten a computer about 2 years before he died. And he couldn't imagine. But in fact, it's... he would have had a larger audience on the internet than he ever had on AM radio.
Yeah, people will find you.
Yeah, and
especially if they miss you and they're looking for you.
Right, and he did such a unique show that he would have. It just make. I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, Doug, damn it! He just got so depressed. It's too bad. So too bad. Mike writes from Philly, 2 things my mom used to say. No one remembers anything before but in a sentence.
That's correct.
If someone says, that being said, everything before that was bullshit.
That's right.
And, of course, my favorite, never trust a fart. What does that have to do? I don't get that part. But that is true. No one remembers anything before but.
Even if you don't say it.
And
even if you just let it hang, the person that you're talking to will say, but.
Yeah. But so these are all very sort of, I mean, we don't even, you think it's more conscious. I think sometimes people don't realize they're being Machiavellian or condescending.
Well,
or
if that's true, then it's
dishonest.
in a most Chris Christie-like of ways. I mean, if you are one of those people that thinks that you're doing the right thing by telling your best friend that she looks like, crap, and that somebody smells and this person has bad breath and you're just being a friend, I think you probably know the truth.
But wait a minute. Isn't it being a friend to maybe tell somebody about something like body odor? No? I thought you were. You don't think that could be that's not a negative
perhaps,
thing
but it has
if you're
to
really
be handled very carefully. If in your example of the yoga class, there's nothing friendly about
there was nothing friendly about that. But I remember once in a situation involving a radio studio where the person who had the show before me did not bathe or use, I am telling you, I'd walk into the studio after he vacated it and I almost passed out.
Well, that person needed deodorant, but my guess is that when they were on, they had a physical reaction of the adrenaline that it took to being on air.
It's called flop sweat, I think. But whatever, I couldn't say anything. So I went to the guy who was in charge, and I told him, and I said, I'm sorry, but you got to say something to him. The poor guy said, oh, God. But he did. But that's a business person saying, that's your boss saying, hey. I can't imagine. If it's a friend, you wouldn't tell a friend, hey, you got spinach in your teeth. Hey,
yes,
you
I would.
I'm always telling people, hey, they don't want to.
No, or your flies down, or, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Of course, the last time that I tried to tell one of my male friends that his collar was up and back, I was rebuked because apparently it was a sartorial statement, and I had to apologize for not recognizing his dandyish ways.
Oh, God. And finally, this from Anthony. As a collector of many things, I had no idea that the Snowies would be so rare. Going to try to get to the garage and check that thing out. Wonder if someone could make one out of a steam-bent wood with a plastic strip on the bottom edge or another material. Great show, Lynn and Susan. Okay, maybe we do have some entrepreneurial wheels going in some people's heads. Somebody figure it out. You can make a lot of money if you can figure out how to make it with the production costs low. Huh. Okay? Suze?
Yeah.
Okay. Show's over. It's done. It's over. It's over. But, hey, I just want to say this. To be perfectly honest, you're done. Okay? We're done.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Suze. And tomorrow, I guess we've got Jared Day of Daily News Nuggets. He's our CMU-ish professor who's now with a think tanky place. Get all mixed up about what he's doing now. And he's got a really smart head to, sort of, what's that word I'm looking for? Sift around in. I don't think that was the word, but it'll do. Okay? Stay warm. See you tomorrow.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.